How's it going, everyone? My name is Derek Afasi. I'm the owner of Afasi Financial Group. In today's topic, I want to discuss with you Thrift Savings Plan and what exactly is a TSP retirement and how to essentially leverage your thrift savings plan for retirement and do it properly. Now, thrift savings plans are something very similar to kind of like a 457 plan, a 401k plan, a 403b plan. Essentially, what this is just a type of retirement account that's set up if you are a federal employee. So, such as a postal worker, you might have, IRS, individuals that work for the IRS, etc. Anybody that's deemed a federal employee would have access to a thrift savings plan. On top of, depending upon when they first started with their service, they might have something known as a FERS annuity and also a CSRS annuity. So what happens is typically these individuals, and one of the really good things about working for the government is you have good benefits, such as the FERS annuity, the CSRS annuity, for your retirement, meaning that as you're working, you might give it 20, 25, 30 years of service. There's going to be a specific calculation determined on, whether you're going to be receiving some sort of pension income. As you're working, so this individual that is working year by year, he also has that option to take dollars and place it into essentially a bucket of money, this type of retirement bucket of money known as a thrift savings plan account. Now, the way that this thrift savings plan account grows is the amount of money that the individual places in there, and then whether or not the mutual funds that they choose, dependent upon what type of fund option that they choose. They only have a couple options with the thrift savings plan, whether or not this is going to gain that year or it's going to lose that year. So an individual could be placing money in there, could be doing it for 20 years and experience a downward market loss like in 2008 and see their portfolio go from $500,000 bucket, and then the next year look at their bucket of money and maybe see it as low as $300,000, and they just took a $200,000 hit that year because of the downward market loss. A couple other factors to always be mindful of while you're setting up their savings plan and while you're preparing for retirement in general is, kind of what are some of the negatives? What are the negatives with this type of account? And can you basically leverage a thrift savings plan to your benefit and make sure that it accomplishes your goals successfully? And you could do that through different things known as rollovers, which would occur later on. So let me kind of go over the cons to the thrift savings plan and why people typically like to take this money and roll it over into a type of IRA contract that provides specific contractual guarantees that will correlate exactly to their retirement goals, their retirement income goals, etc. So a thrift savings plan, typically you could fall victim to something known as reverse dollar cost averaging. This is something that hinders a lot of individuals, especially when they're at the latter stage of their retirement. So they understand that they've accumulated this bucket of money, maybe they have a couple of years left, and then they understand that they want to start pulling money out for retirement. Well, in that situation, individuals that leave their money with the thrift savings plan, they're susceptible to certain fees. Okay, certain mutual fund related fees with that thrift savings plan account. On top of it, if they're going to a financial advisor, typically a wealth accumulation specialist, this individual that's going to be giving them recommendations typically charges something known as a wrap fee or an advisor fee. So right out the gate, if you have mutual fund related fees of 1% and an advisor is charging you a fee of 1% to monitor your account, you don't have any guarantees that your account's going to go up. The only guarantee that you have is that you're going to have to pay fees on that large bucket of money. So, if you have something that's $500,000 that's sitting there, I mean, you have a 1% fee and a 1% fee right out the gate. Now, if unfortunately the mutual fund performance that you chose, if that experienced some sort of downward market loss, like it did in 2008, the average portfolio lost 57%. Let's say that this individual even experiences a 10% loss. It's not going to be the 10% loss, it's going to be the 10% plus the wrap fee plus the mutual fund related fee. thus resulting down to minus 12%. Now, if this individual wants to try to pull out income from this account, a lot of times people do not know how to properly do that. So they play a guessing game. They say, okay, maybe I'll pull out 5% of income for that year, and hopefully by the time I keep pulling out 5%, 5%, 5%, I shouldn't outlive this money. Well, when you're incorporating reverse dollar cost averaging into the overall effect of taking money out of this retirement, or trying to get there successfully and get there on a safe, consistent basis, this reverse dollar cost averaging effect of negative aspects compound against that individual that's trying to really grow their accounts. So let's say if they take out 5% of income that year. At the end of the day, if you had $500,000 that's sitting there, they would have taken out 5%, but they would have ended up losing 5% plus 10% plus 1% plus 1%. And that would be minus 17% of pure value in there. So, when you're kind of grasping the concepts behind this, you have to understand that if you have a couple of downward market years, or even years that the market's not growing at all, and you're pulling money out of that account, there are no guarantees, there are no safety nets involved. Now, with TSP retirement, one of the things that we specialize on is we deal with a lot of individuals that have TSP plans. And what we do is when they call into their office, they say, hey, listen, I want to speak with a specialist. And we have, TSP specialists 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that would be able to take your calls. From there, we'll ask you a slew of questions, and we'll say, okay, listen, based upon your TSP plan, how long have you worked there? Are you eligible for some sort of rollover into an IRA, or even is that necessary? If we ask you a bunch of questions and what you're currently doing with your pension income and what you're going to be receiving through your Social Security income, and you're just kind of utilizing your thrift savings plan as your fund money, and you're not really having it set up for a specific goal, there's many times that we tell the individual, listen, just stay put. There's no need to do a rollover. But for those other individuals, majority of the times, we uncover some sort of need there, meaning that we understand that there's some sort of gap in where they currently are, and then where what their goals are for their retirement income planning. So the way that these goals could be accomplished through this IRA rollover from a TSP into an IRA rollover depends upon what type of IRA that they go into. Now, we specialize on safe, consistent planning, safe money planning. So you have some IRA contracts for that individual that says, listen, I just want to make sure, kind of Derek, where you explain that reverse dollar cost averaging effect, I just want to make sure that I'm not paying mutual fund related fees, I'm not paying advisor fees, and I'm eliminating downward market loss. I want to make sure that every single year I want my TSP money that's now going to be rolled over into an IRA so that it does not trigger off a taxable event. I want to have this bucket of money now essentially have a lid over it. Every year, on an annual basis, depending upon which contract you go into, depending upon which IRA contract you go into, you can utilize an indexing IRA contract where after every year, if that specific stock market index that you choose, if it goes up, then you're going to receive a portion of the gains. So essentially it's as if we're opening up that lid, pouring the gains inside, and then we're closing that lid back up, and now your bucket is bigger at the end of the day, at the end of the year. The next year, if the market goes down, well, rather than participate in that downward loss and have your bucket get reduced tremendously, that bucket's going to be completely sealed and completely closed. So you're going to gain 0% that year. So at all times with these indexing strategies, you have a floor of 0% and a cap up to a certain limit. A cap meaning, if you have a 10% cap and let's say the market gained 12%, well, then you're only going to gain a max of 10% into your account. The account gained 5%. If the market gained 5%, well, 5% is underneath the cap of 10, so you're going to gain 5% into your account. If the market loses 20% that third year, well, you have that floor of 0%. So that's one of the ways. It's a very popular way on individuals that do a TSP to IRA transfer. The other aspect would be for retirement income planning. And you could do this through IRA contracts that have income riders attached to these IRA contracts. Meaning that if an individual says, okay, listen, I'm getting money from my pension plan through work, through the government. I'm getting money through Social Security income. and I now have, a couple $100,000 sitting there, $500,000 that's sitting in my TSP account. I want to utilize a portion of this specifically for retirement income planning. So out of this number, maybe their specific goal is, $10,000 of extra income that they need, to live off of that year. Maybe their pension plan is paying them 30,000. Maybe their social security income is paying them 20,000, and they want to make sure that they're getting $60,000 per year. So we understand that they have a bucket of money of 500,000, but they have a specific retirement income need of $10,000, and they want to make sure that it's going to come to them, worst case scenario. So this is where you could use insurance companies that offer, it's a IRA contracts offered through insurance companies through the form of annuities that you could attach income riders to, making sure that you're accomplishing your goal safely and successfully. Out of this $500,000, you could splice up a portion of it. You only want to have the portion set up for income be the lowest amount of dollars possible. So maybe in that scenario, out of this 500,000, maybe you only need $150,000 to go into some sort of annuity contract, such as like a hybrid annuity IRA, where you would turn on that spigot, within the year or within a couple of years, making sure that it equates exactly to that $10,000 of annual income, or $10,000 divided by 12, so that you could get that out in a monthly income. It's very flexible with the income options, so that it correlates to your pension, to your Social Security, and now you're leveraging that portion to essentially create your own personal pension plan. To make sure that you're having that peace of mind and you're spending money, you're spending your retirement dollars with confidence in retirement. Now, as that happens, now you have an additional $350,000 that you could have as fund money. So rather than going, and this is a large misconception that a lot of people don't understand that you could do, is you could actually take portions, dependent upon the carrier that you place it with, depending upon the IRA contract. You could go and take the full lump sum of this $500,000 in that example, and you could splice it up into company A, and you could splice it up into company B. Maybe company A is going to give you that specific income need where you're going to take $150,000 there, but then company B, you just want to have the safe, consistent planning and you don't care about income. So then you're going to have $350,000 there. There's ways, as long as the companies accept those transfers, they allow you to do a full rollover, so that you don't have to take the full $500,000 and throw it into one contract. You could actually splice it up to a portion of different contracts. So that's one of the things that we do when we get a large volume into our office with Thrift Savings Plan members, saying, listen, I'm over the age of 59 and a half, or I just severed employment. I want to go and I want to leverage a portion of my Thrift Savings Plan monies. This is kind of my situation. These are kind of my goals. This is what I was thinking. What exactly would be your guys' recommendations? And we have an entire team designated for the Thrift Savings Plan, making sure that you're very comfortable throughout the entire process, that you're educated properly, either through the use of videos or the use of literature pieces, whatever specific to your type of learning curve. We make sure that we correlate that properly. We go through a system known as the Retire Sharp planning system. The name of our website is retiresharp.com, and our YouTube channel is Retire Sharp. Please make sure to subscribe to that so you have the most updated videos. But essentially what the Retire Sharp planning system does is, for the individual that we uncover a need and they say, yes, could you please show me some solutions? On average, we go over 1,200 different contracts and scenarios in your particular area, making sure that we are producing you the most optimal recommendations. And we'll splice out certain recommendations of, maybe recommendation A gives you these pros and cons, recommendation B gives you these pros and cons, recommendation C gives you these pros and cons. But rather than just going into something blindly, just choosing a random company, a random advisor, you want to make sure that you're dealing with a specialist. We are A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. We've always had very good reviews. We've never had any complaints, and it's because of our methodical process. Once again, my name is Derek Afasi. I'm the owner of Afasi Financial Group. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get the most updated videos, and feel free to call 1-800-566-1002 at any time. Thanks, guys.